my, starry-eyed surprise. Here's the explanation for the new and improved starry-eyed surprise. First, I'm going to go into the handling. Afterwards, I'm going to tell you how you can get into this, because that's one of the benefits. This trick can be done from a shuffle deck, and you set it up right in front of the audience. A little bit about the lineage and the history. The obvious inspiration for this is initially Cliff Green's Phoenix Aces. Gregory Wilson's done some work on that I really enjoy. Lee Asher's Thunderbird is a very nice open-handed 4-ace production. Those are where I drew the inspiration for this routine. The setup. The setup is 4 aces, 2 colors, and 2 of the other color. Doesn't matter, red or black, which is which. And the second from the top, the third from the face, is going to be flipped over, reversed. So in this case, I've taken spades, flipped over the clubs, hearts and diamonds. These cards are going to go into tenkai. It's very important I show you, this is slightly modified tenkai. Normal tenkai grip, if you were to take one card, and I'm going to show you an exposed view here, place it into tenkai. Tenkai, if you catch where the thumb is, notice how the thumb is almost at the corner. Kind of really got to zoom in. Right at the corner, you can see it. Now, the way that I want to do this, I want to move that card about 1/8 of an inch forward, so that I have a little ledge there. If my middle finger were to curve in, my middle finger could grab that card. You don't want to be grabbing it right at the extreme corner, because otherwise your middle finger, when it curls in, can't grab an edge. So it's slightly deeper. Okay? There's a little edge after your thumb. Now, you're going to have those 4 cards in that type of a tenkai grip. I want to get real close up so you can see where that is in my hand. Kind of move around here so you can see how there's a little ledge there for my middle finger to grab. And now the angles. Thankfully, one of the benefits of this routine, you're almost never in tenkai. You're in tenkai for a slight bit of one phase and a slight bit of another phase, and both are covered, totally covered. The angles on this, your hand is going to be pointing with the back of the hand at the audience. You can do this with almost, can't do 180, but I would say 150 with a little bit of turn. Your best angle is going to be, if this is 12 o'clock noon, whoever's at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock is perfect. So you want to position your audience in front of you and turn slightly to your left. And that's going to be the best angles on this, because the back of my hand is facing you. You don't want to be too much down in your flash. You don't want to be too much like this in your flash. Just the back of your hand's pointing right at their eyeballs. Now, the first ace, I'm going to go through this ace by ace. For the first ace, I like to wave over my left hand, show it empty. My left hand is then going to turn over, and it's going to look like the ace gets produced from my left hand, pulled out. Here's the work on that. While in tenkai, my thumb is doing all the work, pushing the cards against my palm. My middle finger is going to curl in. Right there, it's going to pull the card ever so slightly out, and it's going to pull it against the flesh of my forefinger. I'm going to do this slow, kind of zoom in so you can see it. You can see how it's going. And as I pull it out, my thumb is going to grab the remaining 3 cards, and it's just going to be pinched with my middle finger. My thumb is going to grab the outside, the back. My forefinger is going to grab the face, and it pivots it out using my middle finger as the leverage point. And I know that sounds complicated. When it's in your hands, it's going to be much easier. You'll get a feel for it. Middle finger pulls the card out, kind of a mouthful, pulls it out. It's pinching it against the flesh of my knuckle, of my first finger. Your thumb has to re-grip, otherwise you're going to drop the cards. Your thumb is re-gripping to hold those 3, and then as your thumb grabs, your middle finger is going to pivot it, kind of from your angle clockwise, about 90 degrees. So at a slowed down pace, kind of exposed so you can see it, it's going to go here. Your left hand covers, so they can't see this, and then your middle finger's going to go in, pull it out, and it's going to look as if it's just being produced right from your left hand. Now the other 3 cards should still be in tenkai. You've got this card. I like to bring this up for a split second, and it's timed to my pattern, where 1 ace or 2. And now here's the next phase. Your middle finger is going to move in. This is arguably the toughest phase of the routine. So once you get this one down, the rest is all downhill, because this is kind of a knack. Your middle finger is going to grab the corner, outer left. This is why you need your thumb more in. It's kind of a modified tenkai. It's going to pinch. It's going to angle the cards off the flesh. This is the flesh I'm talking about, right here, just outside of your ring finger. It's going to pivot the cards to the point where your thumb can grab the inner right corner. So it's going to be this corner is where your thumb grabs, your middle finger's up here. So you want to get from this position to your thumb grabbing. Now your forefinger will flip the card face up by grabbing it and pivoting it around, with the focal points being your thumb and your middle finger. That's going to be done a few times throughout the routine, that act of pivoting with your forefinger. Grab, pivot on the flesh. If you need to, use your ring finger underneath as kind of a balancer. So it's holding the cards, and you're going to turn this over. Now this is all going to happen after you produce the first one. Boom. I bring this up, and this is going to kind of conceal that my hand is doing something from when I bring this up. I move my hands apart, and I want to make it look as if, bam, they almost split. So this happens, the action with my right hand kind of exposed, moves over, shows, moves over, and it's happening as you're moving to the left. The bigger motion covers the smaller motion, pivots around, and at this point, as you're bringing your hands together, that's when you're going to be turning the card over. Now notice, this is one of the huge advantages over the initial Starry-Eyed Surprise, was that this grip facilitates holding a triple very easily. You have 3 cards here held as one, but it looks so clean because your fingers are squaring it up at each edge, so it looks like a single. As long as you keep this slightly in motion or on a straight-on view, this looks like one card. It's got a back. I mean, it looks very good. Now, I'm going to show you the added phase. You can choose to do this or not do this. I'm going to go into that in a little more detail. Here's the color change phase. We've produced, boom, ace. Split the 2 apart. Now, I'm going to feed the top one into my right hand, and at the same moment take the bottom, what they think is 1 card, actually 3, into a kind of mechanics grip, just a standard dealing grip. And then I'm going to, as I turn it over to show the back, I'm going to move it to fingertips. So you're here, boom, I'm displaying the 2 cards. And I want to have this kind of my fingertips, nice and easy, real relaxed. So it just looks like 2 cards. I flip the first ace over, and I have it in-jogged, roughly half of its length. I want to enforce the fact this is red. Square this up, I snap. I'm going to snap, and I'm also going to make a noise, which is just taking the cards from concave to convex. I'm going to use that as a cover, this squeezing, to also pinch with my left index finger to push the cards in and buckle the bottom card. You don't even need a big buckle. It happens under cover of this move, of squeezing back up. That's when you buckle and make the noise. I'm going to reach into the break, and I'm going to turn over a triple. Now, this is another thing that's very important. The way you catch the triple is going to decide whether that looks like 3 cards or like 1 card. You want to use your thumb, your index finger, and your middle finger, and even your ring finger to catch the card as it falls. As it falls over, the natural tendency is for those cards to split up. But with these 3 fingers grabbing the cards from all ends, it's going to make sure that it's aligned because you're straightening it out from the left, right, and the front. And leave it a bit out-jogged. Then I come up from above, and my right thumb is going to grab the inner right corner, my middle finger is going to grab the outer left corner, and I'm going to pivot using my forefinger, kind of like before, the card face down, and then back around to face up. I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to turn over this card. The way I do that is I turn it over, using my left forefinger underneath, and then I'm going to take my thumb and flip it back. Now it's very important, the timing on this, I don't do both of those things at the same time. That's too confusing for the eye. What I want to do is move the attention from one set of cards to the other. It lessens the chance anyone's ever going to catch that it's a triple. I start this, and at the moment that I've turned this over, that's when as it's going back to face up, that's when I start doing it with the other one as well. I know that sounds a little complicated. I'm going to do it in slow motion. Watch. Here, 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 and then they come back together on top. That's the color change phase. We can skip that entirely. I'll show you how that goes. Now, I grab it from above in a biddle grip, and we're going to go on to the 3rd and final phase, the production of the last 2 aces. I like this little display. It's nice and clean. It's usually covered by patter, where I say, you know, the 2 aces. Now, I can't complain. 2 aces, but you know what's even better than 2 aces? And then I produce the next 2. As I turn this over, here's what's going to happen. My middle finger of my left hand is going to kick the bottom card of this triple over to my right. Over to my right. Just literally just a fraction of an inch, 1/8 of an inch or so. And that's going to go in between my pinky and my ring finger. it's going to get caught. I'm going to do this big time exaggerated here so you can see it. This is exaggerated. It's going to get caught right in there. This is almost like a deliberate side steal type of move. At that point, you're going to pull away, and that card is just, all it's being held by is your middle finger and in between your pinky and ring finger. I'm going to show this from underneath here so you can really get a good view. This gets pushed over and caught. This just happens in a fraction of a second. And now from above, I pinch the two aces, what they think are two aces, and my right hand is going to carry that card away and squeeze it back, almost into tenkai. I don't even really put it into tenkai, I just squeeze it back into my hand so that I can cleanly show a hand that's pointing. In reality, the card is held here, right in this situation. I'm going to point, and now I'm going to produce this card. Very easy to do. From this position, all you're doing is reaching in with your forefinger and middle finger, grabbing it and extending. I point, and I'm going to time it so that the same moment that I pull this card out, I simply spread the top ace over, showing that other one. So it's like right at that moment, bam, you're going to produce two face-down cards. This one, I like to make a sound. I like to snap it out usually. The next one I pull over, I flip around, and I like to spin. I think it has a nice little fluid just motion where you just produced the two last ones. The spinning is a knack. This is taught in Stealing Pips in great detail. I'm going to give you a quick overview on it, but all that's happening here, your forefinger is going to push the card slightly clockwise, and then it's going to retract and pull it counterclockwise. It's a knack. There's no good way to explain it other than to experiment. You push it over, and then you're going to release, and the card's just going to spin on your middle finger. This card is simply spinning around on my middle finger balance. The momentum to do it is by pushing it slightly clockwise and then reversing that motion and letting go. Sometimes you get a really good spin if it's just balanced right on your finger. At first you'll probably get this where it doesn't really move, you can't get it to spin. Afterwards it'll fall, and after you practice a little more, it'll start to spin nicely on your finger. Boom. And then I like to spread these out, and I sometimes bring them up and show the four aces. Now, you could do this exact same routine, and you could cut out the color change. Now, the psychology of the color change for me is I'm producing an ace. Boom, we have an ace. I'm splitting it. There's two aces. Now, if you just want to produce the four aces, you would skip the color change. But I don't feel the color change takes away from the effect. I feel that it adds. It makes it more amazing in the spectator's mind, because at this point, you only have two cards as far as they're concerned. So when they watch these change, they're not thinking, where did those red aces, where is he hiding the red aces? They're thinking, how on earth did red aces just turn into black aces? Because then you clearly show two cards, two fronts and two backs, very openly. So people aren't going to then say, when you produce the two red aces, oh, that's where he was hiding them. It's going to be like, oh my God, now where did those two red aces come from? I think it adds. It doesn't. I can see where people would think differently, where they'd say, oh, but you just exposed it, so now when the red aces are produced, we already know that they were there hidden. Try it out for yourself. Decide which one you like better. You really have to experiment. Go out there. I personally have found the color change is strong. It's an added bonus. And at the end, the production, boom, bam. And this is just eye candy. This is a very strong way to produce four aces, and it's usually a great lead-in. And this is when I tend to perform it, is when somebody goes, oh, I bet nobody plays cards with you. And that's when I casually cull the aces to the top. So I would cull these aces to the top. This is exactly how I set up in real-world situations. And as they're saying, like, oh, I mean, why wouldn't you play with me? And I turn these over, and I'm going to perform a KM move under the top two cards, which is simply picking up the top two, and then I'm going to turn my hand down to cover, and my fingers are going to peel the second card that's in my hand over. They're going to peel it, kind of like this. They grab, my fingers grab, and they peel it on, and I drop the other card on top. This is really well covered from the side. If you just turn your hand slightly, you just easily turn it over. This is an exposed view. So I flip it over, and then I'll catch a break under the top four. I'll casually cut. If I want, I'll get a shuffle. And I say, well, you know what? They do trust me. And you know why? Because I let them shuffle the deck. And I'll riffle up the back, catch a break under the top four, say, sir, are you a good shuffler? And he looks at you, says, yeah. I go, let me watch you shuffle. And I gambler cop the cards. So the positioning on that is I'm simply taking the cards away and handing him the deck, and I put my hands casually at my side. I just relax. Gambler Cop is held in a deep grip where the right outer edge is in between your middle and ring finger, and you just hold your hand naturally at your side. It's very well covered from the front, and if you're standing next to other people, I even do this in a few tricks where I'm completely surrounded, because I put the attention on the deck. I go, look at this guy shuffle. Oh, he's good, he's good. And then while he shuffles, I say, okay, give it a cut too. And then I'll bring my hand back over, and that's when I'll pop this card, all of these, into my hand, into the modified Tenkai grip. I just let my hands come together for that moment, and I'm done. I like to pull my sleeves up. Now, of course, you can't do this part of the routine surrounded. You could Gambler Cop cards. This isn't for this routine. And then, boom, you go into Starry-Eyed Surprise. You're all set to do it. You got to give this quite a bit of practice, but like I said, this is much, much easier, much more angle-friendly than the previous version. And there's just some great kickers. It's going to make you look like an extremely good manipulator of cards. Here's another method of getting into Starry-Eyed Surprise if you don't feel comfortable Gambler Copping yet, or you just don't like the move. You can also do this, like I said, in the middle of a routine. You get the 4 aces on top, you have the second from the top turned over, and you establish a break under the top 4 cards. Now you can just as easily kind of just put your hands together on top of the deck on the offbeat, and you can Tenkai the cards. Just let them pop off your fingers, and with your thumb, grab them. Just the easiest way you can possibly imagine. That's it. Just grab them right off, lay the deck down, and you're ready to go. You can pull a sleeve up, pull the sleeve up, just mind your angles, back of the hand towards the spectators, and you're ready to begin the trick. So that's an alternate way of getting into Starry-Eyed Surprise. That's it. Starry-Eyed Surprise.